Buck's guitar, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to harp on the guitar again. Buck's guitar tone sounds like something that should be in the Library of Congress or a fucking time capsule because it is so illustrative of the era that this music is from. Hey everybody, welcome back to another installment of the Audiophiles. Andy and John here as always, and we are going to be reviewing a song today that John has carefully selected for the class. John, what do you have in store for us today, my friend?
So you rejoin us on the latest leg of the caravan trail, slowly going across the Midwest. That is the journey through the early R.E.M. albums. And so we have reached the third album proper, Fables of Reconstruction. And I've selected a track from it, and that track is Life and How to Live It.
Life and How to Live It. All right. I've enjoyed what I've experienced thus far. There's some, we're starting to get to the point where there's some REM stuff. I know this was the case on the last album as well, where I knew a little bit off of it. But I don't believe this is a track that rings any bells, at least based off the title. So I will endeavor to go listen to it and come back and report my findings. Beautiful guitars, or guitar. Nice bass. I want to take that back a little bit. I like the little bass fills that are happening there. The harmonies in this song are fabulous. They're really, really great. Obviously, the bass is like it's so subtle, but god damn is it so good. I mean it's all quite good, right? But the bass is what is really drawing me in, which probably comes as no surprise to anyone if you're a regular watcher. But yeah, the harmonies that are happening in the background, I'd like to know who's providing them on this track, or if it's a few of the fellows, but I know sometimes it varies a little bit, who might be doing it in any given song or any one part. But yeah, this is really good, and we're gonna go back here, and we're going to rejoin this tune. Nice.
Raise the walls, charters, claws, carpenters should rest, so that when you tire of one side, the other serves you best. Read about the wisdom of the knock, secret knock when hammers lock, the other wisdom lost. My carpenter's on and running about, walking to the street.
How high is he going on that damn bass neck? Oh, it's so good. Love that. Love that. And the guitar tone in this is just so of the time. I mean, we've talked about that a lot. Either John offering up songs from this era, or me offering up bands that were clearly influenced by bands of this era and tapping into that tone. And when you hear it, you know it. It's just very, maybe of all guitar tones across the decades and genres, this is the one that for me is like so easily identifiable. Like, yep, I know when that, I could guess when that song came out. Yeah, this is awesome. This is a really, really good song.
My pockets running around, walking in the street to tell what I have in there. My carpenter's running around, walking in the center to the pockets running around, walking in the street to tell what I have in there. Listen to the gonna write a book, it will be called Life and How to Live It.
Yeah, that was a really enjoyable listen. God damn, did I love the bass work that was going on in that. And you know what was so great about it? It wasn't look at me bass. It wasn't like, which, you know, I have no problem with that either. But there's something to be said about, you know, kind of existing along uh in kind of this like equal manner as the rest of the band members, and still being able to just shine through it. It adds to the other instruments and the song as a whole, and is a little like not so much look at me Louie, but still you hear the song, and I would be shocked if other folks weren't also thinking when listening to this, God damn, that bass is earning its keep. So yeah, this was really great, man. I enjoyed this one. Let's get back to John. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have a whole hell of a lot of notes here, and I mean I have some, and there are some things that I want to say about this song, but it is, and perhaps I'll start by saying this: it's a very simple song that follows the formula, and that doesn't. And when I say I suppose you could say, well, he's saying it's formulaic, and I'm saying it's formulaic to REM. it's not formulaic in general to music or to rock songs. This was a very REM song. I liked it a lot. There are bits of it that absolutely stunned me. In that I just found them to be so great. And as a bass player, I've come to realize that I've sadly either overlooked or underestimated to some degree Mills' ability to play bass, and to do it in such a subtle way that it's almost understandable how he could fly under one's radar. But if you really listen and devote time and attention, as doing this channel and these reactions requires me to do, you'll find some pretty great things. And this, I think, is toward the top of the list. I'm not discovering REM for the first time doing these reactions or this channel. Yes, these particular songs are new to me, but I'm very much aware of REM. I have reverence for them. I remember one of the first, God, what was that old VH1 series? They used to, Behind the Music, I believe is what it was called. And REM was one of the first, I believe, episodes of that either aired or that I caught. And I remember thinking, to this point, I had already had Monster and I'd listened to some of their big hits, but this gave me a different perspective and a deeper look into the band. And really, that's when I was like, wow, these guys are way more important than perhaps I thought. I was like probably 14 or 15 when I saw that. And this has been doing this with you has been a great way to, like, it's almost like the second version of that experience when I was in high school, watching that Behind the Music. This is shedding even more light onto it and providing more insight into the band and the artists for me. And it's been a lot of fun. And there was this really, really bright reverby guitar throughout this number. And it was so quintessentially of its time. And I really, really liked that. Even though it harkens back to a time where my memory was probably at its genesis point, there is still something nostalgic about hearing that kind of tone in a guitar. There's also this whimsical nature to this tune that is born of like, not like blatant, but still evident dance rhythms and a jaunty tempo to it at times, and that, you know, it gets you moving a little bit to it. It almost doesn't even matter what the subject matter is. And given Stipe's penchant for his vocal delivery, particularly at this juncture in the band's existence, and he also isn't incredibly literal a lot of the times when he's writing his lyrics, I had no idea what it was about, and it could be completely antithetical to the mood or idea or atmosphere of moving one's shoulders and bopping one's head, but yet the music still begged for that and commanded it of me. So I really, really enjoyed that. There's all, and I said this out of the gate because I had to. It was the thing that stood out to me the most, but there's this incredible yet subtle bass work, and the fills are fucking beautiful and canvas all portions of the neck on the bass. Yes. There are times when he's going really high with it and sort of these mid-level fills that he's doing. All of them are splendid and precise. You know, I know this is a recording, and if you fucked it up, it wouldn't have made the final cut. Regardless of that, you can still hear the precision that he's playing with. And given how precise it sounds and how second nature it would seem to come to Mills, you can tell that he knows what he's doing when he's playing the bass, and it's awesome. As a bass player, I really admire that. Buck's guitar, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to harp on the guitar again. Buck's guitar tone sounds like something that should be in the Library of Congress or a fucking time capsule, because it is so illustrative of the era that this music is from. And perhaps this era, and I think I said this in the reaction, but this era's guitar sound is the most, for me, identifiable. Like I could be like 1986 or something like that, or you know what I mean? Like this is mid 80s guitar, like post new wavy, all that shit. That early indie rock sound. Good God, this is it. And I loved it.
I agree. Sorry, I agree with that. There's a few like that periods, isn't there? So like
Yes.
early 90s guitar as well.
Yes.
Mid 80s is really prominent, and it spawned so much as well.
Yeah.
And R.E.M.
Absolutely.
in particular spawned so much, you know.
Yep. Yep. And the stuff from the 60s, outside of maybe the surfy types, like surf rocky type guitar you'd hear, but just the classic rock guitar sound is perhaps because it's so important, it you hear it every generation and genre thereafter. So it becomes, because of that, it becomes less quintessential to an era and more transcendent. And
Yes.
while there are bands now that tap into the 85, I'm just going to generically call it the 85 guitar sound. Well, that's not mainstream. That's not every goddamn rock song you turn on, but every rock song that turns on, or almost every, does kind of harken back to that late 60s, early 70s sound. So there's a difference, right? It becomes less its own thing and more transcendent. This is its own thing. And maybe the best and most shining example of that in rock guitar. You know, I just can hear it and know exactly where it's from. There is this the chorus is almost poppy, and it has this infectious nature, and I think this is what I'm kind of talking about, like where it becomes like the head bopper and the poppy bit to it. And it's, you know, it begs the listener to become involved in the song from a rhythmic standpoint. Like it gets you moving. And I couldn't really pick up on much of the lyrics, certainly not enough to cobble together what the tune is about, but there are these bits where there's like an allusions to a carpenter and like empty pockets or pockets running out or something like that. And I believe there's also an allusion to barking. So I know, you know, I got a carpenter, a poor person, and a dog. At least that's, I mean, people could bark too, I suppose. But I'm gonna need a hand grasping what the subject matter is on this song. I kind of, you know, probably the first fifth of the way through the song just threw the idea of understanding the lyrical meaning right out of the damn window, and I just focused on how goddamn good the bass was and the tones of the guitar.
Yeah. There's a couple of bits where Mills does these little fills at the end of a line, starts singing a line, and he goes, boom, 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 and then straight, and it just joins the whole song together. I mean, the song would have been fine without it, but with those 3-second fills, it's just the glue. It really is.
Those little bits are both the tongue and the groove of every intersecting portion of this song. So it's so goddamn important to the stability of the song, and it's one of the most perfectly illustrated like examples of that, because you could so clearly hear it. And yeah, it's great stuff.
Well, you'll be delighted to hear the next song from R.E.M. that I'm going to give you illustrates his singing to the best of my knowledge, but we'll get on to that. So
Speaking of singing, fill in the blanks on, because I feel like their songs is either a group effort or they change hats on who's providing the harmonies. And this song had good harmonies in it, so I'd like to know who that was supporting stuff.
I was listening to it myself. I don't know, but I would say it's both Berry and Mills. Buck don't sing. I'm sure he's got a t-shirt that says Buck don't sing. He gets pissed and smashes up cockpits of airplanes, but he doesn't sing. Anyway, so as mentioned before, this is from the 1985 album as a Reconstruction. It was produced by, there's a couple of things about this album which makes it different to the other output of R.E.M. from the RS years anyway. So it was produced by Joe Boyd, he of Fairport Convention, and Nick Drake, amongst many others. So the guy's got some chops. And it was recorded in London, first time they've been out of the States to record. And there's definitely a sea change in their sound or approach on this album as opposed to the previous two. There's some really interesting songs on here. So the first single off it was Can't Get Here From There, which is like an upbeat, honking, brassy number. I was thinking about giving you that, but to be honest, it was great fun, but it's really throwaway. and it's not really fair in terms of reflection of the album.
Yeah.
But it comes to a colloquial, saying about tourists asking for travel directions, and the standard response is, "Can't get there from here," and Feeling Gravity's Pull, which is the opener to the album, is amazing, but it's about somebody falling asleep while reading. Driver 8 is about the local railway line and trains and all that, and there was even a homemade video featuring model trains on it. Green Grow the Rushes is another one I was thinking of giving to you, and that's about migrant farm work labourers. And Cohoy Tech uses a comet of the same name as a simile for a romantic relationship, and I love her like a comet has gone. Anyway, so this song, Life and How to Live It, has got this sort of folky rock arrangement, and it's a bit more, I mean, it's got the same stuff, but there's a slight touch of folk to it, which I think is Joe Boyd's hand on the tiller there, I think. And it's got this sort of reference storytelling within it. Without mentioning by name, the song was about an Athens author called Rivs Mekis. Now, Mekis wrote a book titled Life, How to Live, and he had it printed, but all existing copies of it are kept in his closet in his bedroom. So so you can see how that sort of personality in Athens would fit into the storytelling of R.E.M. perfectly. There you go. So in terms of how it sort of performed, it got to number 28 in the States, which at that stage of the career was pretty successful. And it went gold in 91. And in the UK, it peaked at number 35, which was their highest charting album at that time. It was recorded during a period of quite unease and unhappiness with the band, mostly due to homesickness and also a deeply unpleasant London winter, which they wouldn't have been used to. So the band has quite an enthusiastic view of the album, which has been reflected amongst the critics and the fans throughout the years. Drummer Bill Berry was quoted in the early 90s as saying that Fables of the Reconstruction sucked, and guitarist Peter Buck dismissed the single Driver 8, saying, "I can write that kind of stuff in my sleep." Stipe did echo those sentiments, but later he said he considered it to be the strongest collection of songs amongst their 1980s albums, telling producer Joe Boyd that he had grown to love this album. And then Peter Buck, in the liner notes of the 25th anniversary deluxe edition, said, "Over the years, a certain misapprehension about Fables of the Reconstruction has built up. For some reason, people have the impression that members of R.E.M. don't like the record. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's a personal favourite, and I'm really proud of how strange it is. Nobody but R.E.M. could have made that record." I will say on a personal note, it does have a strange atmosphere to it, particularly with the two preceding albums. You can almost sense, when you listen to the whole album, a sense of homesickness through a landscape of broken down cars and murky weeds, populated with many local eccentrics, and there's songs about that. It is a bit of a departure from the more upbeat, jingly jangly stuff with folks who feel, and there's more instruments, more diversity of sound throughout the album. So you have strings appearing for the first time, in Feeling Gravity's Pull. You've got a brass section in one of the songs, and you've got banjos playing, not just a guest, but one of the main instruments in Wendell G. And
It's
this,
interesting because would you agree in the assessment that this song in particular isn't necessarily illustrative of that? Because I don't pick up on all these things you're saying, and I feel like kind of like a horse's ass because I said, "Oh, this is very R.E.M. to me," but here are all these things you're divulging about the album that I didn't find in this song necessarily.
Yeah, that's true. However, I think this is the strongest song probably off the album. Definitely the one that I want to sort of for you to hear that you haven't heard before. Fair. It may not be good, but the album is not their best album at all. But on a personal note, it was my favorite R.E.M. album for a long time. Because as a complete listen, it really is, encapsulating, and it's this otherworldness about it. it's almost like they're magnifying their southern viewpoint through a hazy sort of lens, and that's why it sounds different. And it was the start of the more modern sound that of R.E.M, all these other things coming into it, which you get from Green onwards. The next two albums are very, meat potatoes indie rock, and then after that they develop into different sounding, from Green and What's Matter with the People and etc. etc.
Yes.
So yeah, I'll go through the lyrics and then the meaning. And may Lord have mercy upon all our souls. So, burn bright through the night, 2 pockets lead the way. 2 doors to go between, the wall was raised today. 2 doors remain before your others and your own. Keep these books well stocked away and take your happy home. I think that's a reference to the author there. Keep these books well stocked away. My carpenter's out. This is the chorusy bit. My carpenter's out and running about, talking to the street. My pockets are out and running about, barking in the street to tell what I have hidden there. Burn bright through the night, 2 pockets lead the way, 2 doors to go between the wall that was raised today. Raise the walls and shouts its floors, a carpenter should rest, so that when you tire of one side, the other serves you best. My carpenter's out and running about, talking to the street. My pockets are out and running about, barking in the street to tell what I have hidden there. And then it's the sort of bridgy bit. The hills ring, hearing the words in time. Listen to the hollow. Listen to my walls within my tongue. Can't you see you've made my ears go tin? The air quick and tension building inference suddenly. Life and how to live it. And then the guitar bitty. And then raise the walls and shout its floors, a carpenter should rest, so that when you tire of one side, the other serves you best. Read about the wisdom lost, a knock, knock, knock. The secret knot one hammer's locked, the other wisdom lost. My carpenter's out and running about onto the street. My pockets are out and running about, barking in the street to tell what I have hidden there. My carpenter's out and running about, barking in the, listen to the holler. My pockets are out and running about, barking in the street to tell what I've hidden there. Listen to the holler. I will write a book. It will be called Life and How to Live It. So, whether people have seen the other episode recently we filmed or not, I have found a new website that does AI interpretation of the song lyrics. There we go. I've edited this down quite a lot because it's absolute horseshit. But I think it's fun to listen to what a computer has made of Stipe's ramblings. Life and How to Live It by R.E.M is a song that explores the themes of self-discovery, personal growth, and the pursuit of happiness. The lyrics choose metaphorical imagery to convey the idea of navigating through life's choices and finding one's true purpose. In the verses, the 2 pockets can be interpreted as representing the choices and opportunities available to individuals. The 2 doors symbolize different paths one can take, with the wall referring to obstacles or challenges that may arise. The lyrics encourage keeping oneself informed and prepared, keep those books well stocked away, and finding contentment in one's own life, take your happy home. The chorus emphasizes the active nature of living and engaging in the world. The narrator describes their carpenter, representing their own skills and abilities, being out and running about, and their pockets, representing their thoughts and ideas, being active and vocal. It suggests the importance of expressing oneself and sharing one's hidden emotions and experiences with others. Absolute crap. So yeah, that's quite funny. But yeah, so I think it's Stipe at his sort of most, opaque, and good luck to him. I do like the fact that I understand that reference to keep the books well stocked and in the way is to do with this author, but and the title, but that's about it.
Okay, because I was going to say, is any of the other parts of the song besides the reference to the books and the title, any of it apropos to the author? No. Interesting.
But they've done this before with other songs. Is they'll take 2 or 3 different strands and blend them in. So, like we had with Perfect Circle, it was to do with a lost lover, but also these kids playing football, and they bring it all together. The other school of thought is that it's to do with vampires, Jesus, and drugs. But yeah, obvious.
The Holy Trinity.
Yeah. So I will say this is a favourite song of mine, and probably it would be in the top 10 of my pick of R.E.M songs, just about in the top 10. And it's one of these weird ones where, like, if you look at the previous two albums or the albums afterwards, the tracks don't match up. You know, when you're comparing teams and players in a team, you say, well, you take the centre forward or the tight head or whatever things you say, or the guy who holds the bat and throws it in rounders. And you said, would you swap that for that? And is there a track better than Fall on Me or South Central Rain or Talk About the Passion or Perfect Circle, etc., etc.? And I would say no, there isn't. But as a whole, I think it works so well. The overall sound they create is awesome. So yeah, it is one of my favorite albums. And
Okay.
Yeah, for that, it's one of these ones that is quite forgotten by other R.E.M fans, and that probably makes me like it even more.
Yeah. A little flying in the face of the masses, if you will. Yeah, no, this is a good song. I'm intrigued to hear. I don't know. You're like, hey, well, they're not my favorite, so we're probably not going to hear them on this channel. And I do have free will, so I can always go ahead and exercise that. But to hear some of the tracks on this album that utilize these divergent mechanisms that they hadn't used to this point, the brass, the banjos, all that shit, I'd like to hear what the outcome was there.
Yeah, bear with me a second. If I can find it real quick. I think I'll put them all together, so I might have. Let's have a quick gander. These are just. There was a time when it was so difficult to get R.E.M singles. They were. Oh, there we go. God knows what I've got.
Was that made any easier? I assume you mean at the time it was hard to get a hold of these.
Yeah,
was that made any easier with them coming over here and showing love and being like recorded here and doing their the album? No,
okay. It's all about the distribution, isn't it? So it wasn't until perhaps Green onwards when they started their world domination.
Yeah.
What's one after that? Out of Time? Yeah, Out of Time, big time. So off the album, I've only got, don't know how many singles there were. I should have checked, researched. But this is the first single, Can't Get There From Here. So it's got the same interesting sort of artwork. That's a cool single. What's the B-side? Oh, Bandwagon. Oh, cool. I know all the B-sides because they put an album out of B-sides and oddities. And this is really worth checking out. It's a song called Wendell G. And that's the one with and the B-side is a cover version of Pylon. Crazy. Fucking awesome. I absolutely adore that. That's really worth checking out, Wendell G. But it's a bit slow, it's banjos, and it's really cool. It's that's a really, really nice song. But I thought I went for something a bit more up tempo for the channel, just to take it easy.
It was a great choice. I really, really liked the song. So
it's that opening
the
to
idea
this song.
of other new stuff that got me intrigued a bit.
You'd have to listen to the whole album, is my honest opinion. It won't take you very long, and then you'll see how it flows. It's really, really nice, and you just get this eerie Southern Gothic feel to it. But yeah, this track, that opening riff is just, as you say, an encapsulation of this guitar sound, that and then kicks in. Love it, absolutely love it. Okay. I shall wrap things up. We have rambled enough. I will put links into all the previous R.E.M reactions that we've done, so you can go and check them, and somewhere we'll talk about who they are, how they came to be, and all that sort of stuff. It's Stipe, Bug, Mills and Berry. They're from Athens, Georgia, and they sold some records. Any more than that, go visit the other episodes. So I'll wrap things up. Thanks, Danny, for listening to this and your continuing journey of R.E.M, the IRS years. And stay tuned for another one in a few weeks' time. Folks out there, let us know what you think. Which song would you have picked? I will have to say, to be honest, out of all the albums, this is the hardest album to pick one song. The other songs I really like are quite slow and not very, and people go, So I picked one that was more up tempo. But it was the most difficult choice. I mean, I was like immediately, yeah, that album's that song, that album's that song. Fables was the most, because it's the most, as I say, complete album. So picking one out of it was the most difficult choice out of the lot. But tell us what you would have picked and how wrong I was in my choice. It's always great to hear that. So thanks in advance. If you like this song, hit the like button and let us know how much you love early R.E.M, the IRS years. Again, comments, would love to hear from all of them. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do and support us. And when we get big enough, we too could be signed by Warner Brothers. Yeah. That being said, thanks again so much for watching and making it this far. Well done, you. And we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you guys.